afraid. He always said, generally the materialists, and they don't like the gifts that Krishna gives them. They always think, oh, this is not what I wanted. It's not what I wanted. It's not what I wanted. Why didn't you give me this, Krishna? Why didn't you give me this? Why didn't you give me this? But the devotee, whatever Krishna gives, it's also as sweet as nectar. They're appreciative. They don't see what apparently Krishna hasn't given, or hasn't given yet, or hasn't given in a form that they can understand. But they see what Krishna has given. And then the devotee has faith that Krishna will fulfill all of my desires. In fact, as a devotee advances, the devotee doesn't really even think so much about their own desires. Not that they don't have them. Like here we see the pure devotees in Goloka Vrindavan. They have a desire. It's not that they don't have, they're not stones. I have no desire, I don't care about anything. They're not impersonal. They have a desire. They're thinking, oh, I'd like to give Krishna back. Money is so lucky, if only I could give Krishna back. I could dress him in his favorite clothes, and I could put on his jewelry, and I could feed him my breast milk, and I could pick him up, and we could play games together. That would be so nice. And Krishna sometimes comes to my house and plays with my son like that. But if only I could serve him like Mani Yasoda. So they have a desire. It's not that they don't have a desire. But they're confident. If I just satisfy Krishna, everything else is taken care of. They're not independently, separately trying to fulfill their desires. They have their desires in their heart, and they're just focused on serving Krishna. And they know Krishna will take care of everything. So we can also adopt that mentality. It's not that we should think, well, they're very elevated, they're all pure devotees, and I'm just nothing. What can I do? I can't do that. You know what? We're all pure devotees. We're just dirty. But the dirt really doesn't touch us. We can't really become contaminated. Prabhupada said the soul can't actually fall. He said you're just imagining that you're fallen. It's not possible. The soul can't be cut by any weapon, the soul can't be affected by anything. We're not really affected by the modes of material nature. I think I might have told you this story before. I was in Boston Temple, where every word said in any part of the temple can be heard in any other part of the temple. And it was actually my husband who let our little boy, he was only about a year old, play with a glass jar. And he broke the jar and his hand was bleeding. It wasn't that bad of a cut, but his whole hand was covered with blood, and I kind of panicked. I started yelling at my husband. How could you let our son enjoy that son in his hand? I was complete in that case. And you could hear me all over the temple. The temple president calls me to his office and he said, Urmila, you can't act like that in the temple. Yes. He said, you're supposed to be humble. I said, but I'm not humble. I said, I can't fake it, and he looked at me and he said, no, actually you're humble. Your arrogance is phony. I was like, wow, that's really amazing. So really, we're all souls. And how do we regain our position? We start acting as we really are. We start saying, I'm just going to concentrate on pleasing Krishna. I'm not going to suppress my desires. It's not that I'm going to suppress my desires, but I'm going to have confidence that Krishna is going to take care of them. We can see this sometimes a little bit in this world. An obedient child, there aren't too many of them nowadays anymore, but an obedient child has confidence. My parents are going to take care of me. Just half-decent parents. They don't even have to be great parents. They feed their kids, right? Unless they're crack addicts or something. Parents feed their kids and give them clothing and give them an education and give them toys and maybe even give them violin lessons and make sure they have friends. And the children, they know my parents are going to feed me. The children are not going to the parents, will you please feed me? Will you please give me clothes? Are you going to give me clothes? They know their parents are going to take care of them. All they have to do is go to school and do their household chores, and their parents will take care of them. Or again, this is now a rare bird, but the traditional wife, if I serve my husband, I take care of the household duties, my husband will provide for me. And it's not just rare because of the women, it's also rare because of the men. The men don't necessarily provide anymore. You got to go to work too. Why should I provide for you? Now I found a newer, younger, skinnier model. Goodbye. Several devotees in one European country, one after another, came to me. My husband left me for a skinny, pretty lady. And then 10 minutes later, another one came. What should I do? What happened? My husband left me for a skinny, pretty lady. But in the traditional marriages, which are now becoming an imagination, so the wife she didn't have to worry about it. She didn't have to check the husband's accounts. She didn't have to say, how much money are you spending? Are we going to have for this? Are we going to have for that? She gives her husband something to eat. She takes care of the children. She cleans the house. She serves him nice. And she knows he's going to take care of her. And she knows that if she has some heart's desire, he's going to do his best to fulfill that. We see that with Krishna and Satyabhama, right? She's like, you gave Rukmini a flower, but you didn't give me any. And he went through so much trouble. He took her on the back of Garuda. Wouldn't that be fun, flying on the back of Garuda?
Sure.
A lot more fun than flying on, EasyJet. And they go, he fights this demon. That'd be so much fun, watching Krishna kill the demons. And then he took her all the way up to the higher planets and brought back a whole tree. So that Krishna likes to do that. And the devotee has faith. Krishna will satisfy all my desires. Not necessarily in the form that I think. Because, by the way, the form I think may not be the best way to satisfy my desires anyway. What do I know? Have we all been so expert at figuring out how to satisfy our desires? We have the typical thing. Whenever there's superiors and subordinates in this world, the subordinates are always envious of the superiors. As soon as you take a title, everybody's criticizing you, even in ISKCON. As soon as someone has the title temple treasurer, temple president, vice president, what to speak of GBC or guru or something, then we always, I don't like the way you're doing it. I don't like the way you're doing it. You're making so many mistakes. And if you ask somebody, okay, suppose you were doing it. I read somebody wrote this recently to me. He said, I was so sure that if I had the position, I wouldn't make those mistakes. He said, I didn't make those mistakes. I made a whole list of new ones. and in our own personal lives, we've tried to satisfy our desires. And we've thought, okay, if I could just do this thing, if I could just do X, Y, Z, then I would be satisfied. And we do X, Y, Z, and it works out perfectly, and we're not satisfied. Doesn't that happen? We do exactly what we wanted to do as we wanted to do it. It's all perfect, and we go, that wasn't what I really wanted. It didn't do it. It didn't make it. I'm still unsatisfied. So the devotee knows, I don't know how to fulfill my own desires. In fact, we've been trying for a very long time to satisfy all of our desires. We tried an Indian body, and a Peruvian body, and a Chinese body, right? A male body, a female body, a male Indian body, a female Chinese body, a male African body, a female Icelandic body. We might try it in a penguin body, or an eagle body, or a walrus body, or a mosquito body. And we've tried all varieties of things. All varieties of things. And we haven't been satisfied. We think, maybe if I could do it this way, or maybe if I could do it. Is anybody here fully satisfied with their material situation? Anyone say my material situation is perfect and satisfies all my desires?